Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more English story. Don't estimate yourself. Growing up, I was always told I wasn't cut out for certain things. I wasn't tall enough to be a basketball player, not quick enough to be a track star, and definitely not smart enough to excel in advanced classes. People around me, including some teachers, would look at me and estimate my limits before I even had a chance to try. They saw my quiet demeanor, my average grades, and assumed that was all I was capable of. The seed of doubt. I remember one particular moment that stuck with me. In high school, we had a school-wide science competition. I'd always enjoyed science but had never been considered the top student in the class. My friends encouraged me to participate, but I wasn't so sure. "You're really good at math, but you're not one of the best in science," a classmate told me. His words planted a seed of doubt. Maybe I wasn't as good as I thought. Maybe it was true I wasn't cut out for it. But instead of listening to those doubts, something inside me said, "What if you are? What if you can push through the fear and prove to yourself what you're really capable of?" The unexpected journey. So, I signed up. I started researching late into the night, working on my project with determination. I wasn't the fastest or the most naturally talented, but I poured my heart into the details, meticulously refining my work. Slowly, I began to notice that I was learning more than I ever expected. I was improving at a pace I didn't even think was possible. When the day of the competition arrived, I felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. I knew there were more experienced students there, but I had done my best. I had pushed through my self-doubt, and that in itself was an accomplishment. The surprise. To my surprise, I won second place in the competition. I had outperformed several top students who were considered far more skilled than me. The look of shock on everyone's face, including my own, was enough to make me realize something important. We often underestimate ourselves based on other people's expectations and assumptions. That victory wasn't just about the award. It was about overcoming the limits I had placed on myself. I had believed the story others had written about me, but I realized I could write my own. The power of belief. That experience stayed with me, and over time, changed my perspective. I stopped allowing others' judgments to define my worth. I stopped estimating my abilities based on past experiences or what others thought I could do. I learned that self-doubt often comes from external voices, and we can choose whether or not to listen to them. The key is not to limit yourself before you even start. The bigger picture. As I grew older, I faced more challenges, both personal and professional. There were many times when I was tempted to listen to the doubts that crept in, but I always remembered that science competition. I realized that my potential wasn't bound by others' perceptions of me. It was bound only by my willingness to try and keep going. I don't believe we should ignore our weaknesses, but we shouldn't let them stop us. Life has a way of surprising you when you push past your self-imposed limits. The moral of the story: don't let anyone, including yourself, estimate your potential. You are capable of far more than you may believe. And your true abilities will often surprise you when you step outside of what others have defined for you. The limits we place on ourselves are often just illusions, created by fear, doubt, and comparison. You are not defined by the opinions of others or your past mistakes. You are defined by your courage to try again, to push forward, and to believe in yourself. KHA 200289 Krong Vouchtria. January 7th, 2025 5:10 p.m. The road to growth. As I moved through life, the lesson I learned from the science competition became even more relevant. Every new challenge I faced, whether it was starting a new job, learning a new skill, or taking on a leadership role, felt like a reminder of the doubts I used to have. First, I found myself questioning whether I could succeed. The world often told me who I was supposed to be, but I had already learned that those voices were not the ones that should matter. One day, I decided to take on a project that seemed impossible. It was a huge initiative at work, one that I felt completely unqualified for. The task required coordinating with multiple departments, managing a large budget, and leading a team of experienced professionals. It felt like something only someone with years of experience could handle, but deep down, I knew that if I could put in the effort and dedication I had learned from my earlier experiences, I could rise to the challenge. The hard work pays off, so I jumped in. I researched, planned, and asked questions when I didn't know something. At times, I felt overwhelmed, but I reminded myself of the science competition. If I could do something that once seemed out of my reach, I could do this too. Each small victory along the way built my confidence. I worked late nights, collaborated with colleagues, and didn't let setbacks discourage me. The task that once felt impossible gradually became something I could see through to completion. At the end of the project, I was amazed, not just by the success, but by how much I had grown. I had gone from doubting myself to achieving something I never thought possible. Facing new doubts. However, success didn't mean the doubts were gone forever. New challenges would come, and the old voice of self-doubt would creep in. But with every challenge I faced, I became more aware of how often I had underestimated myself in the past. I began to recognize that doubts were normal. They didn't mean I wasn't capable. They just meant I was pushing my boundaries. In one of my toughest professional moments, I was tasked with speaking at an important conference in front of hundreds of people. Public speaking had always terrified me, and I had avoided it for as long as possible. But remembering how I had succeeded before, I knew I couldn't back down this time. I spent weeks preparing. I practiced in front of a mirror, recorded myself, and rehearsed with friends. The day of the speech, I felt nervous, but I no longer let that stop me. I focused on delivering the message rather than worrying about how I looked or whether I was perfect. The realization, when the speech was over, and I received a round of applause, I realized something important. The true challenge was not the fear of failure, but the fear of success. We often hesitate to take on challenges because we're afraid of what it will mean if we succeed. Will we have to keep up with those expectations? But what I learned was that stepping up was always worth it. We don't grow by staying in the comfortable spaces we know. We grow when we push beyond them. The bigger picture. As I continued to challenge myself, I began to notice something powerful. When you stop estimating your own potential, the possibilities become endless. Opportunities start to open up, and you begin to see that you're capable of far more than you ever thought. Life becomes a journey of discovery, where you realize that your limits were never real, they were just fears you created. The moral of the story: never estimate yourself based on the limitations others or even your past mistakes have placed on you. Your potential is only limited by your willingness to try, to push past the doubts, and to believe that you have what it takes. When you stop listening to the voices that tell you what you can't do, you'll start hearing your own voice, the one that believes in your power to achieve anything. Remember, you are capable of so much more than you think. All you need is the courage to start and the faith to keep going. I'm so glad you spent this time with me. If you liked the story, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Take care, and see you next time.